everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. We haven't done an update this year for 2024 yet, but this is our February update. In all honesty, there hasn't been a huge amount going on our plots in early January because they're quite well established plots, but we have got down to some key developments over the last few weeks. So let's have a look around and see where we're up to. So let's start on 2B, and this is probably where we have made the least progress, but there are some really good things to show you. So I wanted to start off with looking at our leaf mould, and this leaf mould is now 2 years old and it is absolutely brilliant. So I had a good look at this and you can see how lovely and crumbly this is, and we will be using this to pot up all of our seedlings so we don't rely on peat-based compost. Inside the polytunnel there isn't anything planted yet, but this apricot tree is definitely starting to come into life, and you can see that it is just starting to bud up. Now this was last year was the first year that we got any fruits on this apricot, and we did manage to eat a couple, but most of them just dropped. So hopefully this year we will manage to get some sort of crop of apricots, and we will really look forward to that. Otherwise, in the polytunnel we've had a bit of a tidy up, and this potting table actually came from home because we've had some work paving the greenhouse that we have at home and had a bit of a rearrangement, and we did get a new wheelbarrow. When we were having that work done in the garden, the builders put a load of bricks into our wheelbarrow and it was just a little bit brittle and completely smashed up. So we've invested in this beast of a wheelbarrow, which I'm sure will come into good use for all our compost and manure. On the orchard area of plot 2B, we've done a little bit more pruning. We have not tackled the fig tree yet. Ideally you should be doing your main fig tree pruning in June, but our tree is generally so big I'm going to hack a load off, and we tend to do that every winter. We also need to take out some of the basil growths that are coming up from the bottom of the tree as well. So that's our last major point of pruning. The other trees are pretty much ready to go. No action on them yet though, because it's still a little bit early in the season. Within the fruit cage we have done some of the pruning on the fruit bushes like the black currants and gooseberries, but we have not yet pruned our plum trees. It's not the right time of the year to prune plum trees. We were trying to grow this tree as a fan, sort of an espalier, and we've had a big upward growth. Some of it's gone through the top of the fruit cage. So what we need to do is pull those branches back through the netting and re-establish our shape. So I'm going to leave that probably for about a month or so, but we will then start shaping this tree, and we won't actually do the pruning until summertime on the plum trees. Throughout the winter we have kept adding materials to our composting bays, and we definitely need to sort these out somewhat yet, so that's another job that's on our list. And here we are over onto plot 4, and those more regular viewers, I'm sure you can tell there's something significantly different in this area. But let's start on the flower bed. We have loads of bulbs in our flower bed and they are just starting to come up. It's looking pretty good. If we have a look at these new beds behind us, we used to have smaller 3 by 6 foot sort of tester beds that have been in about 20 years now. They were needing replacing. These came up on offer. You know, we are always up for recycling and things like that at the plot, but you know, I spent a bit of my Christmas money, decided to try a few of these metal beds. Again, this is our tester area, so we'll see how they go. We have filled them up by a lasagna method. So they are filled up with twigs, cardboard, some of the topsoil, rabbit bedding, and we'll be putting some more topsoil and then compost on top of that as well. So let's see how they go this season. And now on to the main growing area on plot 4, and hopefully you'll see that we have most certainly had a delivery of well rotted horse manure, and at the moment we've just sort of piled it up really thickly on most of the beds. We will spread this out and we do need to trample this down. We do follow a no dig method and we tend to use the manure as our main source of that. We do have our own compost, but we don't have it in the quantities that we would need for our full allotment, which is 500 square meters, so it is a pretty big space. The beds behind us, these will be our root crop beds, well, particularly the carrots beds. So I'm not going to put any of that manure on as a mulch, but I will use some of our own homemade compost to mulch the top surface there. I haven't done that yet. We haven't weeded this area, mainly because we've still got this potato frame over the top, and that will need moving. And I wanted to just stop here again just to point out a couple of things. You can see how many of our potato tubs we have got left, and I definitely need to get on preserving those in some way. We like to make mashed potato and freeze that. We will do a lot of that, and I'll probably make some sort of canned potatoes as well. And this was our potato bed, and I wanted to show you guys how many weeds that we tend to typically get in this bed. The tubs here were moved in about, I think it was end of November, and we have not weeded this bed in front of me here, so you can see how many weeds that we tend to get if the beds have just been left. This is because this is a well-established allotment plot that has been kept tidy for many years. If you were just starting on a no-dig process, you will get more weeds than this. But as you take your time through the years, the amount of weeds that you will get will really go down. And this tends to be the amount we get, which really makes it a very manageable process. And behind me, we still have loads of carrots in and some parsnips. I think I said in the last tour, which was quite a long while ago now, I was going to take this sort of EnviroMesh carrot frame down, but I decided to leave it in just as a little bit of frost protection because we've had some really low temperatures here in South Manchester. Hopefully we will have an exciting development for this frame here because I have bought a kiwi vine and I'm going to grow up and over this frame. It's actually worked out pretty good over winter for storage. It stores these canes really nicely and securely. Now behind me was one of the problems we had with the really stormy weather. We bought a fruit cage to go over our asparagus because the local cats were loving to chew the top of the asparagus and we weren't getting any spears. Unfortunately, it's taken a real battering in the wind and some of the corner joints have broken. We are going to fix that this afternoon. We're going to use a few canes and make our own corner joints just as a temporary fix on that. If you are thinking about buying a fruit cage, absolutely spend the money on a really good quality one. The one we've got over on 2B is absolutely solid, but it's quite difficult to get small frames. So I end up buying this sort of cheaper version and it definitely does not last in the same way. We have mulched over our rhubarb bed and you can see that the sort of first early signs of spring being around the corner because this rhubarb is starting to come through. We have just put these pots on top of here just because I had to get them out of the way to be able to put the manure down. These are the root stock for our grafting projects. They will need to move because the rhubarb obviously needs to grow, but they're just there for now. Hopefully behind you can see another view of the asparagus cage and you can see that we have used quite a bit of sheep's wool for mulching as well this year. It's also been put over our dahlias, which you can just see in the background as well. Even on an established plot, there's always some sort of development going. That's the nature of gardening. It's such an exciting project really where you can really get stuck in and get creative. I have decided that we are going to redo this bed this year. What I found is we've got this beautiful established lavender which looks great, but as it starts to grow it's pretty difficult to grow anything in that bed anyway because it tends to flop over into the bed. So I've got one of those metal beds left that we bought and that's going to go into this area. And on this side, I think I mentioned this before, we are going to look at rejigging our pond and changing that over. So this middle section of the plot will also change. We'll have to get on with that within probably the next month or so before we get into the main planting season. Beginning of February is the perfect time to cut down your autumn raspberries. So we have done that here and tidied up this area. This is a clematis which should be climbing up over the frame. Unfortunately, I think I showed that in the last video, this frame had literally completely broken over in the winds. So Anthony has put this second sort of smaller post in and secured this. We didn't want to take this one out and try to add another one because it would be very disruptive to this area and it would probably mean that we'd have to take this clematis out. So it needs tying back up again and it grows up and over the top of this frame. And other than that, there's a few little shoots on these raspberries and they will start appearing pretty soon as well. Around New Year, I had some family over and my mum gave me a really good hand putting lots of bulbs in underneath this tree. We do have some bulbs that put on a reasonable show, but we must have put at least 200 bulbs into this area because they went in quite late. I'm not sure if they will flower well this year, but hopefully next year they'll put on a brilliant display. I've had to put this EnviroMesh over the top of this bulb area because we have so many grey squirrels and they just dig all the bulbs up. So that's what the EnviroMesh is about. There is still a little bit of heat just coming out of this fire. This morning we burned a lot of the prunings, not from our plot, but from the surrounding area that we've been doing some communal work on. And ash from wood burning is absolutely brilliant for lots of uses in the garden. So we will be using this within some of the soil. I would add some of this also to the compost heap and we will put this around our fruit bushes and trees. Plot 5B is looking pretty tidy. It's got the manure on the beds that needs spreading out. We have still got some winter crops in here. There are some Brussels and leeks, not particularly big, but the Brussels have grown since Christmas, so they're probably still edible. The main other job that we have done in terms of organising structure is this area right in front of me here. Now we used to have a really big strawberry bed in this section and it wasn't working out for a few reasons. It was quite difficult to net over it and I don't like netting over temporary structures because it's bad for birds and they can get trapped in it. It's much better to have a proper fruit cage. And we just didn't get any strawberries, so it seemed a bit pointless in that way. Also, the bed went right up to the corner of the plot, which made it quite a difficult turn with a wheelbarrow. So we decided to take this out and it gave us the opportunity to move the water butts which were underneath these two trees. And you just tended to get loads of fallen fruit in there, so it wasn't really much water in there. It was more like fermented alcohol really in the bottom, so it wasn't the best in terms of water spaces for the water butts. Because we've moved them, we'll be able to have enough space to put some proper covers on there, which is obviously much safer as well. We have pruned these trees and we have got some wood chips and re-gone over this area, so it's looking quite nice and tidy. The garlic is looking pretty good. This can probably go out soon. Once we've got that manure spread out and we decide on the planting planner, we will get that out. I've got some onions here from our store. I'm going to plant these to try and get onion seed. I was watching Charles Dowding's video on how he does that and he was saying that he uses 8 onions to get enough pollination to collect for seed. So we're going to do that and I think I might put some of those in one of those smaller metal raised beds. The strawberries that we got, these were a freebie that came with another order that I've got. So not like we need more strawberries. We've got absolutely loads of strawberry runners that I've taken, but you never say no to a freebie. So these are called Cambridge, these ones. And the coriander is just starting to grow again actually as it starts to warm up. So not that much in here. Other than that, we've still got a few things stored and we have got a couple of chilli plants. I am not sure if they're still alive. They were when I covered them up. Maybe this one might be. But it's always worth a try, isn't it? We always try that in gardening, so let's see. We have tidied out this greenhouse, but it definitely still needs a good clean. And we're talking about strawberry runners. There are loads of strawberry runners in this cold frame. That's just about all that really is in the cold frame so far, but we will start planting probably over the next few weeks with those early crops. So this is the start of the 2024 growing season, and here at Don't Crop Me Now we would like to wish all of you the best in your growing endeavours for this year. Please, if you enjoy our channel, do like, comment and subscribe. It really helps our channel. So take care everyone and good luck for this year. Bye. Bye.